DVD Era TV back at y'all with another one. Y'all know the slogan. Today we gonna talk about the time Uncle Murda got shot in his head in Brooklyn. Now let's get into it.
No, Uncle Murda back on the come up. I done came to up. Mr. Rockefeller Def Jam now, GMG, you heard?
Now in the DVD era when Uncle Murda hit the hip hop scene, a lot of people were saying Uncle Murda remind them of 50 Cent. Now Uncle Murda came in the game using the same formula as 50 Cent by taking shots at anybody you could think of. Uncle Murda sent shots at Nas, Mobb Deep, Mace, 50 Cent, anybody you could think of. Now, even though Uncle Murda was making a buzz for himself around this time, he wasn't new to the industry. Uncle Murda actually was signed to Rough Riders in the early 2000s. Now, Uncle Murda even says DMX hit record Where the Hood At was his record first. He wrote the hook, but he gave it to DMX. Now, Uncle Murda continued to grind and make a name for himself, and eventually he caught the ear of Jay-Z and landed a deal at The Rock. And in 2007, after signing with Jay-Z, Uncle Murda put out a record called Brooklyn featuring Jay-Z and FABOLOUS. And after putting out this record with Jay-Z, it took his career to a whole nother level. But in 2008, Uncle Murda will be struck in his head with a bullet while sitting in his car. Now this is an old article from ballerstatus.com, and it says, rapper Uncle Murda was shot in the head on Tuesday, January 23rd while sitting in a parked car within the city. Despite the seriousness of the report, the 27-year-old rapper, whose real name Lenny Grant, was only grazed by a bullet around 10:30 p.m. on Tuesday and is not seriously hurt. Since the shooting, Murda has come forward, and who does he claim behind the shooting? He says the police. New York Daily News reports that the rapper has an extensive criminal record that dates back to 1997. Of some of the marks on his rap sheet, attempt murder on a cop and drug charges are included. Due to his past, he feel the police may have been behind Tuesday's shooting, according to Uncle Murda. He said, "I think they was checking for me," said Uncle Murda. "I think it was the police that shot me this time. I don't know, I just got a feeling." Murda said he doesn't have any evidence that it was actually the police, but he said he plans on looking into it. "We doing our own investigations," he said. "We take care of business. We make them suffer." Uncle Murda is signed to Jay-Z's Rockefeller Records and has been since last year while he preps his debut album, which is said to boost features by Jay-Z and Nicole Ray. He's been working hard and feeding the streets with music. He currently has 2 mixtapes in the street with DJ Green Laden, Too Hard for Hip Hop and Respect the Shooter. Obviously, Uncle Murda was trolling about the police shooting him. You know, he had the whole F the police around that time, and he ain't really rock with the cops, and you know, he used to diss them a lot in his music, so that sounded good to say or whatever. But it's even rumored that Papoose had something to do with the shooting of Uncle Murda.
This is public information, ain't nobody snitching. Moose went to jail for shooting Uncle Murda. Over who? Papoose? Papoose.
Now, around this time, Uncle Murda and Papoose had a little beef, and after Uncle Murda got shot, he put out a mixtape called Hard to Kill, and he had a record on there called Hard to Kill, and basically on that record, he was explaining what happened during the shooting and taunting the people who shot him. Now, Papoose will respond with a freestyle called Who Shot Ya, taking indirect jabs at Uncle Murda. So you can see where the speculation of Papoose having some involvement with Uncle Murda being shot come from. But since then, these two guys worked on songs together with DJ K Slay, and it seemed like they put their beef behind them. Now, around the time Uncle Murda was beefing with Papoose, he'll be beefing with Big Truck and Cavlar as well. Now, if you want to hear more on that story, go check out my playlist and watch my Uncle Murda and Big Truck video. I explain everything in full detail. Now, as far as Cavlar, his beef was originally with Uncle Murda's manager at the time, Manhood. They had a relationship, but he felt like he wasn't supporting him. And he also felt like Manhood was blackballing him and doing funny business. And from my understanding, Uncle Murda was just basically guilty by association at the time. You know, he was being managed by Manhood, and Manhood had problems with Cavlar. Now, Uncle Murda and Cavlar have a run-in at the Hot 97 show where he tried to rush the stage with Big Truck. And Cavlar did a diss record towards Uncle Murda or 50 Cent's Murder beat, dissing Ja Rule. And, you know, he took a few shots at Uncle Murda on a few DVDs as well. Now, while all of this was going on, like I mentioned before earlier in the video, Uncle Murda would be shot in his head. And then a few months later, Cavlar would lose his life after being shot as well. Now, at the time, it was rumors going around that Uncle Murda and Cavlar shootings was connected, which was all just hearsay and rumors. Now, shortly after all of this happened, all the beef with Uncle Murda will eventually die out. Cavlar lost his life, rest in peace, due to another situation. You know, he definitely was a legend in the DVD era, so shout out to him. And I believe Big Truck caught another case, and he went to jail, and Uncle Murda went on with his career. And, you know, he started to work with Rod Diggs. Now, in 2014, Rod Diggs would go to trial, and Uncle Murda would take the stand in his case as a character witness on the behalf of Rod Diggs. Now, during questioning while on the stand, Uncle Murda was asked when he was shot in the head, was it by someone related to Cavlar? Now, this is actual court documents and paperwork of the situation, and I'm going to read some of it. You didn't tell him that you didn't know who shot you, right? I remember telling them I think they shot me. All right. They just told me to stop playing around. So the person that shot you wasn't related to anyone named Cavlar, right? No. Not that you know of? No. But it's fair to say around the same time, you had an ongoing beef with a person named Cavlar. That's right. Right. We're going to stop it right there. Y'all get the point. If y'all want to see that full paperwork and court documents, y'all could go tune in to Crown TV. They cover all that. You can see the whole case of Rod Diggs and even hear when Uncle Murda testify. Now, let this be a lesson to all you young kids that like dissing each other in the drill music. Let this be a lesson. Sometimes, even if you beefing with somebody and you didn't have nothing to do with their death, you could be charged with it and you could be questioned for it just because they know around that time you had beef. For example, Cavlar and Uncle Murda had a DVD beef. Uncle Murda was shot in his head in January, and Cavlar was killed in March of that same year, and they trying to piece these things together. Now, for those who ask why I like to cover old stories, I like to cover old stories because these are the most interesting stories. It's hip-hop history, and it's times that you can't get back, and there's nothing in hip-hop like these old days, to be honest. And plus, if I was just a fan, I would want to hear these things too. It seems like only YouTubers you got talk about the hot and new celebrity gossip, the latest things that happen. I like to hear the old stories. That's the most interesting to me. So if you're a fan of these old hip-hop stories, share it and tell a friend about my page. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. More content coming, and I'm out. One.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mixtapes and DVDs is my era.
Facts.
We did it better.
Yep.
Pelly leathers.
Facts.
ACG boots. We 80s babies
Woo.
and early 90s when it got
It was
grimy.
real.
I was out of this world, you could not find me unless you check the lobby. Hustling was my
I was
hobby.
there.
We was lobby boys
Yep.
before Jim
Made 'em.
Jones. You could catch me in Harlem eating Jimbos. I'm so New York, Yank had it Timbos. I'm from Brooklyn, it ain't hard to tell. I'm from Brownsville, they go hard as hell. Gotta keep a hammer, they go hard as nails. Stick your nose in my business, I make it hard to smell. On the grind all day, make it hard to fail. I'm doing me, so do
What
you.
else?
I've been outside since Fat Farm and FUBU.
Dang.
Mixtapes and DVDs is my era.
Facts.
We did it better.
Yep.
Pelly leathers,
Facts.
ACG boots. We 80s babies and early 90s when it got grimy.
real.
Mixtapes and DVDs is my era.
Facts.
We did it better.
Yep.
Pelly leathers,
Facts.
ACG boots. We 80s babies and early 90s when it got grimy.
real.